Alright, so dungeon sets. Archer's Mind. This set now grants 6% critical damage and healing passively and an additional 12% while in sneak, or invisibility rather than granting 5% critical damage and an additional 10% while in sneak or invisibility. Alright, so again, it's almost like they're putting up they're adding healing to the critical damages as well. Any outgoing critical is also having healing to it. So aspect of Massatoon. The set now restores 1048 health, magic, and stamina on proc rather than 620 magic and stamina and 752 health. Again, when you take damage while under 30% health, you heal for 10481. 10481. And this effect can occur once every 45 seconds still. So, Bark Skin. Reduce the health on the proc. Reduce the stamina on the proc and fix an issue where the heal could critically strike. Fix an issue where the set could fail to proc if the same snare was refreshed in a certain period of time. So, Bark Skin reduces the duration of immobilization to the snare applied to you by 50%. When you are snailed or immobilized, you heal for 1715 and restore 858 stamina. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds. Bone Pirates. Increase the stamina recovery of the set to 167. That's while you have a drink buff active, max stamina is increased, and your stamina recovery is increased by 167. Brands of Imperium. Reduce the shield size to 11260 and remove the proc chance from the set. Now, when you take damage, you and your allies within 8 meters gain a damage shield that absorbs 11260 for 6 seconds. This effect can occur every 15 seconds. Okay. Burning Spell Weave. Reduce the spell damage granted from the set to 490, down from 525. It's no longer a proc set. So now when you deal damage with a flame ability, you apply the burning status effect to the enemy and increase your spell damage by 490 for 8 seconds. So every time you apply the burning status effect, you get 490 spell damage with a 4-second cooldown. So despite the lower number, you're still going to have a higher... You're going to do more damage because it's always going to fire. You're not going to have a percentage chance to apply it. Colrun's Legacy. Slightly increase the travel speed of the projectiles from this set. Reduce the minimum travel time to 750. Increase the damage done. And remove the critical requirement for this set. So now, when you deal direct damage with a single target Magicka ability, you launch a Fire, Ice, Shock, or Disease Ball at your target that deals 13,290 and applies the status effect. This effect can occur every 10 seconds. Okay. Combat Physician. Reduce the shield size to 4308, so halved it. The cooldown is now per target rather than overall. So when you critically heal yourself or an ally, you grant your target a damage shield that it will absorb 4308 for 6 seconds. And this effect can occur every 6 seconds per target. So, Dragon's Defilement. Set now has an additional 1206 max health on its 5-piece. So it's got max stamina, max stamina, max health. Now max health on the 5-piece. When you take damage from a melee attack, gain corrupting aura for 5 seconds that applies major fracture and minor breach to all enemies near you, lowering the physical and spell resistance. Can occur every 5 seconds. So you get a static health. Draugr's Hulk, reduce the 5-piece set to 2550. That's the 2, 3, and 4 are max stamina, and the 5-piece is also max stamina. So that's like the Plague Doctor for stamina. Draugr's Rest. We didn't have that one. That was Hulk. Sorry. Elemental Succession. Fix an issue where the cooldown for each event was slightly longer than 4 seconds. Okay. Essence Thief. Increase the health and stamina restored. So dealing damage with a light attack or heavy attack draws essence from the enemy that pools near them for 5 seconds. Drawing from the pool heals you for 4356 and restores 4356 stamina. It increases your damage done by 10% for 10 seconds. And you can only have a 10-second one every 10 seconds. Flame Blossom. Increase the damage done by this set to 10,614. Set now applies the burning elemental status effect to enemies hit. It always applies it. And this set no longer has a proc chance. Now when you deal damage, you summon a line of flame that moves forward after 1 second, dealing the flame damage to enemy in its path. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds, you're going to spit out a line of fire, and anybody it touches is going to get 10,614. So. Frozen Watcher. Increases the damage per tick of this set to 1365. And fix an issue where this damage could return as direct damage in some cases. So, summon a blizzard around you while blocking, inflicting 1365 frost damage every 1 second to enemies within your blizzard. Your blizzard has a 50% chance to inflict chilled on enemies damaged. Basically permafrost. Glorious Defender. The set now causes you to dodge the next attack after bashing an enemy with a 13-second cooldown, rather than having a 9% chance. Okay? Based on a light and heavy attack. So, alright. Gossamer. Reduce the duration of this set to 1 second, down from 2 seconds. Alright. When you heal yourself or an ally, you gain the major evasion for 1 second, reducing the area of attacks by 25%. Okay. I wonder if you continually heal them, like if they're standing in your healing springs or in your aura, or would that constantly apply to them? That'd be interesting to test. All right. Hagraven's Garden. Set now grants you and nearby group members in the area major protection, rather than granting only you 50% damage reduction. Increase the duration of the area to 8 seconds. Reduce the cooldown to 30. And the set no longer attempts to stun enemies who enter the area. So currently, when you take damage while under 50% health, right? There's the condition, under 50% health. You summon a Preservation of Nature around you for 8 seconds. Any damage you take from enemies outside of this preservation is reduced by 50%. So instead of that, now everybody that's within there gets major protection. So while you are under 50% health, For 8 seconds, you and your group members will have major protection. Hanamafala. The set now applies minor fracture to enemies in the area of the web rather than the duration after the web explodes. Increase the damage done, removes the proc chance. So now when you take damage, a web appears around you for 5 seconds, reducing movement speed to all enemies by 50% and applying minor fracture. After 5 seconds, the web bursts into venom, dealing 2693 to the enemies. Alright. News Compassion. Increase the max magicka granted on the 5 piece to 1963. Okay. Just a flat status. Haven of Ursus. Set now grants the shield up to 5 targets, up from 1. Increase the shield size by 13. So, when you take damage while you're under 50% health, summon Ursus's spirit for 6 seconds. You and 4 other allies activate a synergy to grant you a shield that protects you and your allies. A damage shield for 13,967 for 6 seconds. This can affect every 12 seconds. So 6 up, 6 down. But you have to be taking damage under 50% health. So, okay. Hershing's Veneer. The set now grants you and allies 145 stamina recovery rather than reducing the stamina cost. So, no longer reduces the stamina cost to your abilities by 4%. It gives you stamina recovery. Hitty's Hearth fixed an issue where the set could bypass the 6-person heal cap per tick. So you can only heal 6 people per time. Hollow Fangs. Reduce the magicka granted from this set. That's when you heal or damage a target, you spawn a ball of hemoglobin. You get 25, 23 magicka now, and still get minor vitality. And this can occur every 9 seconds. Per caster. So, Hunt Leader, fix an issue where the heal from the set could critically strike. Icy Conjurer. This set now deals 21,700 damage over 10 seconds. So, it's going to tick longer. Obviously, do more damage. Reduce the cooldown to 10 seconds, so it's going to fire more. And fix an issue where this set's damage over time could not stack from multiple set wearers. Okay. So that's after applying a minor debuff to your enemy, summon a non-reflectable Ice Wraith that will charge into your enemy. So, every 10 seconds, if you debuff them, it'll proc. Iron Blood. Increase the proc chance of the set to 10% up from 8. So, when you take damage, you have a 10% chance to turn your blood to pure iron and gain major protection for 10 seconds, reducing your damage taken by 30%. But your movement speed is reduced by 50%. This effect can occur every 15 seconds. Fix an issue where the snare of this set could stack with other snares. Yeah. Okay. Jailbreaker. The set now grants an additional 142 stamina recovery on the 5-piece. So Jailbreaker, you gain major expedition, so now you get stamina recovery as well. Jolting Arms. This set no longer has a proc chance. Now when you block an attack, your next bash will deal an additional 3513 damage and will increase your physical and spell resistance by 4620 over 6 seconds. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds and reduce the damage bonus of your next bash attack to 3513. So when you block an attack, and then you bash, you do 35-13 damage and increase your physical and spell resistance. Alright, Knights Errant. Increase the weapon damage bonus to 450. Increase the heal and fix an issue where this could critically strike. So you're basically getting 450 to your one-handed shield. And every time you use a one-handed shield ability, you heal for 1537. Nightmare. This set no longer has a proc chance. Now you deal melee damage. You apply minor maim to all enemies within 8 meters of you for 2 seconds. Reduce 2 seconds. So whenever you do melee damage, you apply minor maim to all enemies within 8 meters of you. Every 2 seconds. So as long as you're doing damage every 2 seconds, it'll work. Lend Me a Song. This set now grants 25 health, magic, and stamina per ultimate point to 6 nearby group members rather than the 30 health per ultimate point spent to them. Fix an issue where this could critically strike. So again, you use an ultimate, you're going to give 6 nearby group members 25 health, magic, and stamina per ultimate point. I'm wondering if, because the original on live right now says when you use an ultimate ability, you heal you and your allies within 20 meters of you for 30 health points. So I'm wondering if you yourself will also get the health, magic, and stamina per ultimate point. Leeching Plate. Oh, not leeching. Reduce the damage done from this set by 20. The set no longer has a proc chance. Now when you take damage, a cloud of leeching poison is summoned under the assailant. The cloud deals damage every 1 second for 5 seconds and heals you for the 100% of the damage cost. Cloud can be created once every 5 seconds. Again, this is AoE, and every 5 seconds it's going to proc as long as you're taking damage. So if you've got 5 or 6 archers at you all spread out, they're all going to take damage every 5 seconds. One person's going to have a cloud forming under them rather than 20% of a chance. So the chance condition on a lot of these sets is actually going to increase its effectiveness of the sets. Leviathan. Increase the weapon critical on the 5-piece. Again, getting in line with the other sets. Light Speaker, the set now grants 600 spell damage to your Restoration Staff. I mean, Light Speaker, it is what it is. Magicka Furnace now restores 75-90 Magicka when you take damage while under 50%, rather than restoring 8,000 Magicka when you were under 80% Magicka. So basically the proc condition now has to be when you are under 50% of your magicka. Rather than keeping you topped off, it's now just going to give you a burst. But this effect can occur once every 30 seconds. Medusa, the 2 4-piece bonuses are now spell critical rather than health, magicka, and spell damage. So this is 2-piece going to be spell critical, 3-piece spell critical, 4-piece spell critical, and the 5-piece now gives you 900 spell critical and minor force at all times, increasing your critical damage by 10%. This may move Mother Sorrow out of the way. We'll have to see how that works. Mighty Glacier set now grants major resolve to the nearest 11 allies rather than granting it to them based on the order they were invited to the group. Okay. All right. Moonhunter now grants 547 spell damage for 8 seconds rather than 600 for 6 seconds. A little bit more for a little bit longer period of time. That's fine. So that is when your poison fires, you increase your spell damage by 547 for 8 seconds. Okay. The Duelist Silks. Set now increases your light and heavy attack damage by 1811 for 5 seconds. So while you are in melee range, your light and heavy attack damage is increased by 1811. I mean, you're dueling, so yeah. Originally it was when you dodge an attack, but it's fine. It still has a 5-second cooldown. So you get the bonus for 5 seconds. You get 5-second cooldown, so you could have 100% uptime. Oblivion's Edge increases the healing on kill to 2621. That doesn't seem right. I think it's supposed to be 2621. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm not on live right now, so I will be tomorrow. Or, well, by the time this gets up. Increase the weapon damage on the 5-piece to 258. Fix an issue where the heal could critically strike. The heal from the set now occurs once every 10 seconds. So, when you kill an enemy, you fill an empty soul gem and heal for 2621 with a 10-second cooldown. So that might be right. A burst heal every 10 seconds. Yeah. Overwhelming Surge. Increase the damage per tick of this set to 1114. Remove the proc chance from this set and increase the cooldown to 7 seconds up from 6. So when you deal damage with a class ability, you surround yourself with a torrent that deals 1114 shock damage to enemies within 8 meters of you every 1 second for 6 seconds or 7 seconds, and then a percentage of the damage is restored to you as magicka. This effect can occur every 7 seconds, so I'm guessing the duration is also 7 seconds. We'll have to check it out. Parabellum. The set now grants a damage shield that absorbs 70-10 every 10 seconds rather than granting a damage shield that absorbs 12,040 damage if you haven't taken damage within the last 10 seconds. Yeah, I mean, if you're not taking damage, why do you need a damage shield? It's an anti-ganker set, I guess, but I mean, I'd much rather have it the full time, and it's a Maelstrom set, so you get it while you're in Maelstrom. It'll help you beat regular Maelstrom. You're in regular Maelstrom, get it in there, and you can use it as a damage shield set to help you beat veteran Maelstrom Arena. So, Permafrost. The set now grants 1106 health recovery while you have a damage shield active. Okay. Pillars of Nirn. The set now deals 4718 damage initially and 23,590 over 10 seconds. So the damage over time got doubled. Dang, that got buffed. Remove the proc chance from the set. Now when you deal damage, you create a fissure under the enemy that after 1 second deals the damage to all enemies within 2.5 meters and causing them to bleed for 23,000 over 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. Fix an issue where this set's damage over time could not stack for multiple players. So now when you just do damage, it's going to do a 2.5 meter AoE damage over time. Nice. plus a almost 5k upfront hit. Plague Slinger reduces damage of this per hit of this set, but reduce the cooldown to 8 seconds, down from 15. Now you can better roleplay as the Rat Whisperer. Come to me, my minions. So basically, when you take damage, summon a Skeever Corpse, launch 5 poison balls over 5 seconds, and can occur once every 15 seconds. So they're 3-second cooldown, but it is what it is. Prayer Shawl. This set now procs on overhealing cost rather than on healing cost. Increase the damage shield size to almost 5k. Remove the proc chance from the set, but added a 2-second cooldown. So, Prayer Shawl, when you heal a friendly target, you have a 6% chance to grant them a damage shield. So now, when you heal a friendly target, or when you overheal a friendly target, you gain them a damage shield for 5k every 2 seconds. So, again, with just lay healing springs down in combat prayer with this, and those heal over times will overheal everybody if they're not taking damage, and they'll all get a free 5k damage shield. So, as a support set, you're going to be giving them all basically Ice Heart just by them standing where they're supposed to be and not standing stupid. So, Rattle Cage, 5-piece set grants 171 spell damage. Right? In a game, major sorcery at all times, increase your spell damage by 20%. So, okay. Reynolds Resolve. This set now stacks up to 9 times up from 8. Reduces the duration of the bonus to 5, down from 10. Reduce the cooldown per stack to 500 milliseconds, down from 1 second. We kept this stacking set at 9 instead of the usual 10 because we like the tooltip. So when you deal direct damage, you gain a stack of Resolve for 5 seconds. Each stack increases your healing taken by 1% and your physical and spell resistance by 420. You can only gain 1 stack of Resolve every 1 second. You can only have up to 9 stacks of Resolve, right? But you can gain a stack every half second. Sorry. So while the duration is shorter, you gain them faster. It helps with the burst heal that you're getting, and your physical and spell resistance goes up faster. Robes of Destruction. Set now grants 2840 Magicka while you have a Destruction Staff equipped. Okay, buff there. Sanctuary. This set now grants 10% healing taken to you and nearby enemies, down from 12%. Okay. So it's a flat 10% healing taken to you and nearby allies, down from 12%. Alright. Savage Royal. Increases damage per tick to 1200. So your light and heavy attacks rend flesh, causing your enemy to bleed. 1200 every 1 second for 4 seconds. Scavenging Demise. Increase the damage done to the set to 11,173, up from 700. Or 7,000, sorry. And that is when you deal critical poison damage to an enemy, summon a Scavenging Maw, which attacks your enemy after 2 seconds. The Maw deals 11,173. And inflicts minor vulnerability for 15 seconds. Okay. Sheer Venom. The set can now proc on multiple targets from a single hit of Execute. So spin to win. Under the dual wield skill line. But cannot refresh itself on targets. So when you deal damage with an Execute ability, you infect the enemy with poison damage. 66 damage over 6 seconds. And deals up to 100% more damage based to targets below 100%, rather than, so over 6 seconds you get more and you deal 100% more damage to targets below 100%. That should be 50%, I believe. because it's an execute. I'm not. We'll see. We'll check it out. I know this one was having problems because the executes would not proc it. So we'll see. SPC now grants major courage when you overheal the target, rather than having a 50% chance to grant it when you heal them at 100%. The set no longer has a 6-person target cap to better mirror the power of Olorime. So, spell power cure. When you heal yourself or an ally that is at 100%, you will give the target major courage for 10 seconds, which increases your weapon and spell damage by 258. So now, whenever you lay down your combat prayer and your healing springs or your budding springs, anything that's a hot, for anybody that's not taking damage, they're going to be at full health. And you'll give them major courage. The one thing that I can see happening is the vampires using the when the vampires are using the skills that sacrifice their blood for more power, they're not going to be at full health. So you may have to burst heal them to get them up to full health, and then have the hots take over. So it'll be interesting to see how this happens with the overhealing. Because with vampires, sacrificing their health for their skills and powers, overhealing is going to be a little bit harder. Spelunker, this set now reduces the cost of your Undaunted abilities by 10% rather than granting them 400 weapon and spell damage. Okay. You now restore 730 magic and stamina when an ally activates your Undaunted synergies within 5-second cooldown, rather than restoring 1500 stamina with no cooldown. So you basically split the resources you get back with a 5-second cooldown, because you're getting both of them back, and it reduces the cost of your Undaunted abilities. So I could see, I mean, the only ones that are really using those Undaunted abilities are support roles anyway, so I don't know. I have to look at it. Spider Cultist. The set now grants 600 spell damage to your Destructive Staffs, up from 450. Okay. Stormmaster. This set now increases your light and heavy attacks damage by 1542, rather than causing your light attacks to deal an additional 1333 shock damage. And it no longer works with Overload. Wasn't supposed to. So the Stormmaster is when you deal critical damage with a fully charged heavy attack or Overload, your light attacks will deal shock damage for 20 seconds. So when you deal critical damage with a fully charged heavy attack, your light attacks will deal. So now it works with critical damage on a fully charged heavy attack. Your light and heavies will do damage. Okay. Sunder Flame. The set now deals 13,600 over 10 seconds and applies Minor Fracture and Breach to the duration, rather than 4,000 and applying Fracture and Breach for 8 seconds. Okay. So when you deal damage with a fully charged heavy attack, you deal 13,600 over 10 seconds, apply Minor Fracture, Minor Breach. Okay. Sword Dancer, set now grants 600 weapon damage to your dual wield abilities. It says attacks. I'm wondering if that's just a typo, if that should be abilities. Worms. Now grants 145 magical recovery to you and nearby allies rather than reducing the cost of near. So instead of reducing the cost of the abilities, now they all get recovery. Probably gonna throw that one out. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. To throw and treasure hunter. Increase the weapon or spell damage of these sets by 171. So those are the undaunted ones. So you'll either increase your weapon or spell damage by 171 and gain minor savagery at all times, or major sorcery at all times, increasing your weapon critical and or spell critical by 2191. So, or sorry, major prophecy. So Zogdans, increase the weapon critical granted from this to 134 per stack. Reduce the duration of the stacks 5 down for 10. Added a half-second cooldown for generating stacks. This is just like Reynolds. Undaunted Bastion. When you taunt an enemy while you are under 60% health, you gain a damage shield that absorbs 1,400 or 14,127. The set now activates when you're below 75% health and you taunt rather than 60. And updated the tooltip to better state its proc conditions. Okay. Infiltrator and Unweaver. Sets no longer have an identity crisis and grant the appropriate stats for their armor weights, although they still require you to cast an ability that is not the primary resources for the weight. The set now increases your light and heavy attack damage by 1685 for their durations rather than increasing your light attack damage by... So your light and heavies get a flat 1685 instead of having two numbers split for it. But with this, if you're using Infiltrator, when you use ability that costs Magicka, you get 1685. Because Infiltrator is the heavy set, I believe. No, it's the light set. So the sets increase your light and heavy attack damage by 1685. So when you use an ability that costs either magic or stamina, which is, I believe, the opposite of... So if it's a medium armor set, you're going to use Magicka. If it's a light armor set, you're going to use Stamina, and you'll then increase your light and heavy attacks. If it's a light armor set and you use a Magicka ability, it won't increase it. So, Widowmaker. Widowmaker, the set now deals 19,728 damage over 5 seconds when it procs, rather than 7,740 instantly. So when you're poison fires, you drop a poisonous spore in front of you that bursts after 1 second, dealing 19,728 over 5 seconds to all enemies within 5 meters. Okay. Winterborn, increase the damage of the set. Remove the proc chance from the set. Now when you deal frost damage, you summon an ice pillar that deals frost damage to all enemies in a 3 meter radius. The ice pillar persists for 2 seconds and reduces the movement speed by 50%. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds. Increase the cooldown from 6 seconds up from the hidden 4 second cooldown, which is now also properly mentioned in the tip. Reduce the snare potency to 50% and fix an issue where the snare was removed immediately after leaving the area rather than lingering for a short duration. The following set... Okay, so those are all the overland stuff and the dungeon sets and all that. So the trial sets... the following sets now affect you and 5 other group members rather than you and 3 other allies. And the duration of these sets bonus is now determined by the amount of ultimate points spent. 1 second for every ultimate used. Automated Defense, Master Architect, War Machine, and Inventor's Guard. Okay. That's good because, you know, some of the stuff from Halls of Fabrication, I think these are all from yeah, these are all from Halls of Fabrication. Every other trial had at least a full group, 6 people that you could do 6 or the full raid. And these were the only ones that you and the 3 closest allies. It was weird, but that's a good change. You'll see these being used more, because it's no longer based upon the distance and the 3 closest. Now it'll hit half the raid. So, Arms of Relican. Reduce the maximum number of stacks from this set and the perfected version to 15, down from 20. Fix an issue where the damage could return as direct damage in some cases. So, helping people that may not be able to keep up 20 sets. You're still going to outperform them based upon, if you're one of those that can 20 stacks no matter what. You're still going to outperform them just because that. But it also helps boost the morale and confidence of the people until they get to that point where they're practiced enough to do it. So, the Berserking Warrior now grants 305 weapon critical per stack, down from 400. Increase the maximum number of stacks to 10, up from 5. So you get a little bit of a buff on this one. And reduce the duration of each stack to 5 seconds, down from 6 seconds. Defending Warrior. Increase the damage done by the set to 4110, up from 4000. Reduce the cooldown to 5 seconds, down from 10. Eternal Warrior. Fix an issue where the heal from this set could critically strike. Again, proc sets, you're not supposed to crit. False God's Devotion. Remove the extra 5-piece bonus of spell damage on the normal version of this set, and the extra 5-piece bonus of Magicka on the perfected version to better mirror Power Vicious Ophidian as the perfected version of Quick Serpent. Okay. Set now properly mentions its 1 second cooldown. Set now reduces Healing Mage, which is Mending. Set now reduces nearby enemies' weapon and spell damage by 286 for 5 seconds rather than nearby enemies' weapon damage for 430. So it is kicking on spell damage and it's going for a lower amount for a longer duration. That's fine. Mortal Warrior. Fix an issue where the major protection from this set could stack with other sources. And fix visual errors with the set. Fallible Mage. Reduce the damage bonus of heavy attacks to 900, down from 903. Lunar Bastion. This set now creates an area for 8 seconds, down from 10. Increase the cooldown to 20 seconds, up from 10. Set now grants a damage shield that absorbs 2383 damage every 2 seconds, but continues to stack every tick rather than applying a damage shield that absorbs damage every 2 seconds but constantly refreshes. Okay. Fix numerous visual effects with this set. Mantle of Sororia. This set and the perfected version now grant 52 spell damage per stack, up from 30. And reduce the number of stacks to 10, down from 20. So 52 times 10 is 520 spell damage. 30 times 20 is 500 spell damage. So you're actually getting more with lower stacks. Moondancer. The set now grants 474 spell or Magicka recovery, up from 448. Reduce the duration of the bonuses to 20 seconds, down from 30. Poison Super. Increase the damage from this set to almost 4k. Increase the cooldown to 2 seconds, up from 1. Remove the proc chance. Now when you deal damage with a light or heavy attack against an enemy who has a poison damage ability on them, you deal an additional 4k damage to them every 2 seconds. Roar of Alkosh. The set now deals 3,000 damage initially and 11,000 over 10 seconds rather than 17 initially and 1240 over 10 seconds. The armor shred from this set is now based on the amount of damage done from the initial hit rather than the flat 30-10. Okay. Fix an issue where the damage over time from this set could not stack from wearers. Okay. I wonder if this is max for a stamina character. And since more tanks wear Alkosh, if the armor shred is going to be less. So a full stamina, a min-max stamina character is going to be able to hit 30-10. But a tank might hit 1780. So the armor shred for a stamina class versus a tank class is going to be different. So that'll be interesting to see. Roaring Opportunist, this set in the perfected version now only applied to 6 group members, down from 12. Fixed an issue where the radius was not based on the wearer of the set in some cases. Lochestes reduced the duration of the set in the perfected version to 10 seconds, down from 15. Twice Fang reduced the penetration granted per stack to 544. Increased the number of stacks to 10. Increased the cooldown generating the stack to 5 or half a second, up from 0.1. Increase the duration of the stacks to 5 seconds, up from 3. So while you are getting lower per stack, you're getting more stacks. So you're going to end up with more penetration. Twilight Remedy. Set now heals for 27,984 over 15 seconds. Set no longer has a cooldown. And fix an issue where this heal from this set could critically strike. Fix an issue where the minor force from this set was not properly flagged as a minor buff. This is going to make Twilight Remedy even more sought after. And the reason is because Twilight Remedy says, let me go down to it real quick. So Twilight Remedy comes out of Maw of Lorkosh. When an ally activates your synergy, they heal themselves for 27,984 over 15 seconds. So you get a longer hot. And they gain minor force, increasing their critical damage by 10%. So with the single bubble that you put out as a healer, everybody can synergize that. So everyone's going to get a heal over time for 15 seconds, as well as the bubble as it goes by and heals them. They're all going to get minor force, increasing their critical strike by 10%. And there's no cooldown. So everybody that synergizes that bubble can get it. This is going to be an intense set. That thing is going to be broken. So Yonder's Might. Each stack of Giant's Endurance now grants 74 weapon damage rather than 64 or 69 stamina recovery. Cooldown for generating these stacks has been reduced to half a second, down from 1 second. Okay. Uluri may reduce the duration of Major Courage on this set to 10 seconds, down from 30 seconds. Okay. Adjust the max target values to 6 per tick, down from 12. Please note that this set can still affect more than 6 players, but no more than 6 can get the bonus every second in the circle. So they're going to have to go in and out. So Vicious Serpent, this now properly mentions its cooldown on the tip. Player versus player. Affliction. This set no longer has a proc chance. Now when you deal damage, you deal an extra 1830 disease damage to the target. This damage immediately applies the disease status effect, applying minor defile to the target for 4 seconds. Okay. Again, removing the proc conditions and the cooldowns. That's nice. So, Elysian Order set now grants 2% of your total physical and spell resistance as health recovery. Alright. Alexia's Mercy. The set now heals 4,000 over 3 seconds to group members in the area rather than 2793 immediately. Right? Again, the heal over times versus the burst heals. Bastion of the Heartland reduces damage taken or damage reduction bonus to 3% of the 3-piece, and reduce the damage reduction to 10%, down from 20% versus Siege, and player area of effects. Italian Defender, increase the heal of this set to 2466 after you successfully block. Black Rose, increase the bonus of the Constitution passes while wearing the set to 60%. Increase the weapon and spell damage up to 174 or 176. Okay. Coward's Gear, the set now appears in your character sheet when active rather than appearing permanently. Fix an issue where the set could override all sources of major expedition while wearing rather than only overriding them when sprinting. Fix an issue where the set could activate while mounted. Okay. Cyrodiil, Crest of Cyrodiil, reduced healing of the set by 7890 down from 8000. Deadly Strike, fixed an issue where this set did not apply the tooltip of some area of effect damage over time abilities. Okay. Desert Rose, increase the proc chance of the set to 25, up from 15. Reduce the magical restored to 2012, down from 2408. So when you take damage, you restore. You have 50% chance to, or you have 25% chance to restore magicka. Hawkeye, the set now grants 6% cost reduction and damage done with bow attacks. Alright. Kind's Kiss, the set now restores 13-14 health and stamina with a 5-second cooldown rather than having a 15% chance to proc with a 1-second cooldown. So now when you deal direct damage, while 12 meters or further away from your target, you restore the health and stamina once every 5 seconds. Meritorious Service now grants armor to group members for 20 seconds rather than armor to allies for 2 minutes. Okay. Phoenix increases the duration of the shield to 10 seconds, up from 6. And Phoenix is when you drop below 25% health, you gain a damage shield. That absorbs 25,000 damage for 10 seconds now and deals 8,000 flame damage to nearby enemies. This effect can occur once every 1 minute. Fixed an issue where the damage had a higher chance of applying burning than it. Powerful Assault, PA. Set now grants 307 weapon and spell damage to group members within 10 meter radius for 10 seconds rather than granting 164 weapon spell damage to allies within 15 meter radius for 15 seconds. Okay. Set now deals 146 weapon damage per stack, up from 125. And the Ravager is each time you attempt to reduce your target's physical or spell resistance, you gain a stack of Ravager for 5 seconds. Increase your weapon spell damage. You can, or your weapon damage. You can gain 1 stack every 1 second. Okay. The set now grants 266 weapon damage on its 5-piece for the sentry. Up from 129. Soldier of Anguish. The set no longer has a proc chance. Now your melee light attacks place a ring on the ground that explodes after 1.3 seconds, applying a 48-30 heal absorption to all enemies for 4 seconds. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds. Okay. Spell strategist, reduce the spell damage granted from the set to 460. Steadfast reduces cooldown for this 18 seconds down from 30. That's when you cleanse a negative effect from yourself or an ally. You gain major protection for 5 seconds. So you got a 13-second cooldown or a 13-second downtime. Archmage, increase the magical regeneration granted by 506. The Juggernaut, increase the healing of the set to 20,000. The set also now grants 20,000 armor for 15 seconds after activating. And that when you take damage under 30% health, you get that. Morg Tong, this set now targets to take bonus disease and poison damage rather than only poison damage. Oh, so it now causes the target So when you deal direct damage, you cause your enemy to take 10% more damage from all poison and disease abilities. Harbinger, the set now deals its damage based on 7% of your max health, up from 6. So when you block an attack, you deal damage to your attacker equal to 6% of your max health. Vanguard's Challenge. This set now decreases the damage done by your target versus your allies by 35%, down from 50%. It also increases the damage done by your target versus you by 30% rather than 150. So when you taunt an enemy player, they deal 50%, so they do 35% less damage to all other players, but 35% more damage to you. Vice Cannon. Set now activates when you deal critical direct damage while behind an enemy rather than critical damage while stealthed or invisible. Okay. The set now deals 89-80 damage over 10 seconds to targets affected rather than a larger amount over 15 seconds. Fix an issue where the final tick of damage did not heal you. And fix an issue where the set had a higher chance of applying the poison status effect than intended. Vicious Death. The set now grants an additional 1487 spell penetration on its 5th piece bonus, which is whenever you kill a player, they violently explode for 1518 flame damage to all their enemies in a 4-meter radius. Increase the damage done on that kill to 22,400, and fix an issue where the set had a lower chance of applying burn status effect than intended. So, you get more spell pen on the 5-piece, so when you go in there, you're already penetrating more, and you're doing more damage. So, Ward of Cyrodiil. Fix an issue where the major defile set from this set counted as 2 negative effects rather than 1. Alright. Reduce the weapon damage per stack to 24, down from 30. And Wizard Riposte. The set now applies minor veneration to enemies who critically strike you rather than minor maim. Set also grants 660 critical resistance on its 5-piece bonus. So, that's pretty cool.